Spec getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Hello and welcome to Ray Esports Racing presentation of Group 2 Round 6 on slow motion broadcasting. This is Josh Wilkie speaking, as well as Charles Boshell alongside me on the call. I will be doing production as well for this round. Charles, we were just watching the round before this here, the Mustangs, and they were in the rain, and it was a lot different than this. We saw a couple different winners, or sorry, the same guy up front here, Miles Crab. Looks like it's going to be a little drier, and some different cars here today. What do you think is going to happen in this one?
Yeah, we were watching that race, and it was properly wet, mid-Ohio track. Miles Crab, as I think we were leaving on the final lap, looked like he was walking away with it to take the victory. But here for this race in the Spec Miata's dry track, and we're using the chicane layout, so we lose a little bit of that draft there between turns 1 and turns 2. We're going to jump out of the turn 1, go through the chicane, and then through the keyhole. And we got some good racing on tap here tonight. And as you see now, Miles Crab 0.3 of a second over Christopher Hamilton, Kyle Robertson sitting in 3rd, Seth Bowman in 4th, Will Pierre in 5th. That is your top 5. Gaps are pretty tight there in the top of the order. and looks like we're going to have a pretty nice race tonight here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Park. And kind of fitting that we're here, as the Hoosier Super Tour was just here last weekend. Saw a few of our drivers out on the track. Trenton Kramer, who is kind of a regular here, at least not unless it's the summertime when he's busy with Grass Paddock Motorsports, but was out on the track in real life over the weekend running his Miata. And I think there's a couple other drivers that were out there as well. I heard Benjamin Foltz and I believe Thomas Pendergrass also discussing this past weekend's festivities. So it's good to have them in for today's event. And coming up with about a couple minutes left to go in qualifying, so about maybe one or two more laps for the remainder of our drivers here, as we are in a a closed quali session, so solo qualifying, and which means that we won't get quali overtime. Once you're done. They have 4 laps to try and 10 minutes to try and set 4 laps, and at the 10-minute mark we will move over to our race session. So
yeah,
Josh,
that's right.
Do we haven't have any points, or we've been negligent to keep up with those?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, no points on this one here. We weren't delivered any points for this particular race, but we are looking actually at Miles Crabb up front here again. I was mentioning we had a little peek at the Mustang race just before this in the rain, and Miles Crabb was doing pretty good in that one as well. Some other drivers here that we didn't see, of course, in that race, as well as some that were in that one too. Christopher Hamilton now just behind Miles Crabb. That's a pretty big deficit here. Still, I don't want to say early days in qualifying here. It's actually right at the end, so he's only going to maybe have one more chance to try to get this done. Looks like that is going to actually be his last lap here. He's going to call it, not going to improve on that one. Seth Spolman just behind him as well. It looks like he's called it as well, so pretty happy with their qualifying as where it is right now. Maybe not totally representative, Charles, of the overall time there, but at least happy with where they are in the lineup for now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still seeing we've got Andrew Love is still on the track, Wayne Buttermore as well, as we just picked him up as he's finishing up his final lap. And Benjamin Foltz is out there as well, and he's going to be a lap short, so he's only going to be able to get maybe his third lap. I'm not even sure he's going to make the third lap, to be fair. So he's going to be very, very tight. He's just past the halfway point here as you see him working his way around. And this is in through turns 8 and 9. So Thunder Valley here as he comes back around. And I don't think he's going to make it in 10 seconds. So I think that's not going to count for him, unfortunately. So he's going to be down in P15. We do have a couple of drivers who did not set quality times. Joaquin Heffinger has just popped in, and Simon Foweather as well has not been able to get on the grid to get a lap in, so they'll be starting in the back of the field.
Yeah, unfortunately weren't able to get out there and get a lap for whatever reason. Maybe they wanted to, maybe they did not. Maybe they want to start at the back, but nonetheless not going to get a lap in here. Our grid, though, is going to start with Miles Crabb up front in P1 position. In P2, we have Christopher Hamilton in the number 15 from Core Racing. Number 3, Seth Spolman, putting in a great lap here in Bad Idea Factory Racing. Number 42, Kyle Robertson will bring up 4th place in the Driver Trainer Motorsport machine, which is actually sponsoring tonight's race. So thank you so much, Kyle Robertson, for sponsoring tonight's race, and the Driver Trainer Motorsport team. They're doing a great job. In 5th place, we have Matt Thompson from Frito Sport. David Finch is in 6th place. In 7th, Will Pierre. In 8th, Joshua Justice. 9th, Byron Hayes. And Chuck Labano in 10th.
Yep, Thomas Pendergrass is going to start in P11. Andrew Love will start in P12. I believe Wayne Buttermore, will be starting in 13th. As we scroll the screen here, and we'll see if we can get this rolled up. There we go. Wayne Buttermore, as I said, in 13th. Colin Olson, 14th. Benjamin Foltz in P15. Simon Foweather in 16th. And Joaquin Effinger will round out our 17-car grid for tonight. They are both on the grid, so they will be starting the race. So 17 cars out on the track, and it's a pretty tight little track, so there's some room for racing, but very, very technical course here that we're going to be dealing with tonight. And so we're just going to see how well these drivers can accomplish the racing here as we're getting up, and we got a couple cars we're waiting on here to get on the grid. We'll get this thing rolling and get our race underway. 30 minutes tonight, no pit stops required, and we'll just it'll be a race to the end. And there's Dale and Steve. Dale
and Steve hanging out.
Yeah, hanging out in the inquiry booth there for the Mid-Ohio Racing School. So I'm sure they can give them some really good information.
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking for some info on iRacing or Mid-Ohio. Two guys probably pretty good to talk to right there. So we get some pretty good shots of our formation lap here. We're going to get it going. I think this is going to be a good one. These cars, this track, great combo together. I think they're going to look good. These cars too on iRacing looking better than they ever have with their new skin job here. They're looking great. They do look a little bit more modern now as the 131 here. Believe he is going to jump here, and we are green. We're started at Mid-Ohio here for round 6.
Yeah, absolutely. As we head our way down into turn 1 for the first time, got to be careful of that little curve on the inside of the corner. You can kind of ride that just a little bit, but you have to be very careful. Looks like we are clean all the way through. Couple cars running a little wide coming out as we head down into the chicane for the first time. Going to make this tight little right, then a quick back to the left, and then get this car set up for the keyhole here as everybody's still running really well, nice and clean. And no real fights as we get going here. So it looks like everybody's got to line up single file, and the draft party is about to get started as we head down into turn 4, which is China Beach.
Yeah, absolutely. This corner, have so much time to think about it and where you're going to hit the brakes. It's a little bit cambered, so you can actually kind of catch this corner a little bit with the car, and it'll help you a bit. And then exactly the opposite in the next corner, where it's actually going to throw the weight over the top of the car, and you got to be real careful applying the power here in this little transition moment, as we can see some side-by-side action back here. I believe that is Will Pierre, Joshua Justice, Byron Hayes there doing a little bit of shuffling around, but getting that done without losing too much time. Matt Thompson leading that small little pack of cars. Beautiful paint job here on Byron Hayes' machine there. That chrome paint job looking really nice on the 1423. Having a little look there. I believe that's Labano and Thomas Pendergrass getting side by side through one of the more difficult sections on the track.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see Benjamin Foltz with a black flag, so I'm going to guess that maybe that's a jump start. Maybe he was out of line when they got to the start-finish line, so he has already received a black flag penalty. He will have to serve that within 3 laps, have to come down for a drive-through penalty as Christopher Hamilton in the lead. Kyle Robertson in second. Miles Crabb dropped down to third. So kind of interesting as we're working on our second lap here. As I was watching the real-life racing, it was fun to watch these guys in the Spec Miatas in the SMX class. They were basically running as 2-car packs. So once they got really wound up and the cars just naturally just kind of separated, they were 2 by 2 and just running in 2-car groups, bump drafting each other. It was amazing to watch how these 2 cars were able to work together and actually pull away from the rest of the field. As we're now on board with Josh Justice as we're working our way down into China Beach again. He's got a nice tow there from Matt Thompson in the 33 car as we work our way down into turn 4 here, hitting the braking zone, working our way through this right-hander, and as we come back up the hill, this is the corner they call Madness, which is absolutely appropriate for this. You said it yourself, getting really light, trying to feather the throttle and the brake, trying to get that car turned and slowed down a little bit as we go through turn 6, now through 7 and 8, back in the Thunder Valley, and Christopher Hamilton still in the lead.
Yeah, leading pretty dominantly here so far. Kyle Robertson just behind him, Miles Crabb, and then Seth Spolm and David Finch will bring us to 5th place. But everybody looking pretty line astern here so far, breaking up into a bit of a pack. Love the way this track flows around. So nice. It's such a fun track to drive. Very difficult, as you said, that Madness corner. Got to be one of the hardest corners in racing and iRacing for sure to get right over and over and over again. Not an easy one. Benjamin Foltz still driving around with a black flag here. He is going to have to get rid of that or he will be disqualified from the race. I believe you usually get about 3 laps to get rid of one of those, and then you're going to have to, and then unfortunately you'll just get zapped right out of the race. So, you know, we were mentioning before there, I'm not sure if this is a little joke on us or what, but Benjamin Folds 5 sounds a lot like a band in the 90s, does it not? I think if that's
really
a coincidence, does. Wow. if that wasn't on purpose,
I don't think that's a coincidence.
No, probably not.
I don't know if Benjamin's old enough to remember that group or not, but yeah, it was very funny when we kind of noticed the similarity there. But yeah, it's he got to get that thing cleared. I'm not even sure if he really knows, but he has dropped off down to the back of the pack. So maybe he's realized, he's off the track. So I'm just seeing now where he's missed a corner somewhere. As now we got a battle up front here as we have Roberts and Hamilton side by side with Spolman and Crabb now doing battle. So 2 by 2 up in front of the field.
Yeah, a bit of a shuffle there. We did have an attack on the lead by Kyle Robertson, who's now in the lead. He did successfully get around Christopher Hamilton. Seth Bowman's going to be in third place with Miles Crabb side by side here in that awesome liveried car. Always really liked. I believe that's Seth Spolman's livery there. Very, very cool livery on that car. He's been running for at least since I've been doing these races here. But up front, we are side by side up front, and just behind as well, we have 3 packs of 2 racing side by side through some of the more difficult parts of the track. They're definitely not the fastest way to get through there, but they have not decided yet who wants to be up front. Christopher Hamilton is going to lead this lap, though, after Kyle Robertson taking that lead for a little bit.
Yeah, and you see this 6-car group up front, but the more they start fighting up there is going to make that group a lot bigger, because you got another 5 cars only about 1.2 seconds back. So once that group and that second group catches back up, they're going to start pushing forward as well. And you guys are pretty fast racers there. Matt Thompson, Josh Justice leading that second group. There are no slouches behind the wheel. These guys are regulars here, both in this series as well as in the Weekend Warriors. So they absolutely know how to drive these SCCA spec cars. And we'll see what happens here as we head back down this long straightaway again. This is the biggest draft point here on the track due to the fact that we've got that chicane outside between turns 1 and 2. And so once again through China Beach, up the hill we go, and we see, Josh Justice running a little wide there. He's going to drop down to the back of this group, back behind Lobano in the 346 car. And so that's going to drop him down. And he'll have to gain some of those positions back through hard work. But this track, you say it's very technical. It's a fun track to race once you get the hang of it. It's very reminiscent to me of Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It's just one of those tracks that just feels like when you first get on that track, you'll never figure it out. But once you do, it's a blast to drive, and it was the same thing for me with CTMP. Is once I finally got the hang of it, it's just such an amazing track to race, and Mid-Ohio is just in that same vein.
Yeah, I'd say that's a great comparison, Charles, for sure. It's one of those very rewarding tracks, I think, when you get it right. You feel like you've really accomplished something, and it's such a hustly, fast track. It just feels awesome when you can get it right. I mean, maybe no more than CTMP, actually, one of my favorite for the same reason there. There's just some spots on that track that make you feel like a superhero when you get them right. And I think it's kind of the same thing around here. It is technical, but very rewarding technical stuff that feels sort of intuitive maybe. When you get it right, it does feel like it's right. But at first, wow, yeah, very alien, some of the corners around here, and CTMP as well. It's funny how that works, but Christopher Hamilton getting it right around here for sure. Kyle Robertson just behind him. A little bit of a deficit now. Probably going to have to sort out behind who is going to lead who and start working together here. We do have Will Pierre now, not too far behind as well. He wasn't in this pack not long ago at the beginning of the race, and he is part of it now. David Finch as well. And then, of course, you can see this back here that if they can not squabble too hard, they may be able to catch back up, but it looks like they're kind of getting at it here as well.
Yeah, looks like they're really starting to start a fight amongst themselves here as we're heading down after just past the 8-minute mark here in this 30-minute race. And you can see Thompson leading, but he's got some very fast drivers behind him. Thomas Pendergrass, Byron Hayes, Lobano, and Justice. And Lobano's already up. I see he's even from where he started, but it seems like he's just kept moving up. We'll say that we do have Pendergrass up 3, as well as Simon Foweather up 3 as well. So a couple of drivers have started working their way up through the grid. As we see a little battle here as Thompson running a little bit wide, coming there out of the corner there where pit entry is located. and managed to get it settled back down, but I think they lost a little bit of time there as Finch, you see him running in 6th. He was running in 2nd in the Mustang race earlier, has kind of dropped off that front group, so it's now 5 in a trailer there with Finch dropping off, unable to keep up with the pace of the leaders there. You know, we'll see if he can manage to find his way back up to the front. Obviously, the draft is going to help him a little bit. These guys fighting up front is going to help him a lot, so I'm sure he's looking for them to start going side by side through a few of these corners.
Yeah, he's definitely in that position. Do well, and you can get up front here and fight. Do poorly, and you're going to get caught by a pack about the same size and have a fight on your hands. So I think he's got a pretty good chance here in the 77 to catch up to this front pack here. David Finch, very clean driver. I'm watching him in AMS for a few seasons now, and he knows how to drive for sure. So I think he's probably going to be able to put it down. It does look, unfortunately here, I'm not sure if this is correct, but it looks like maybe we've had an accident. Chuck Labano and Thomas Pendergrass perhaps here have got into it just behind what we were watching here, and Labano's going to get it wrong going in to that corner there. Again, really easy to do, to go a little bit deep there when you're up the inside, and a lot of avoidance happening there as well. Foof. Yeah, that was a close one on a couple counts.
Yeah, somebody thread the needle through there as they were working their way trying to get through China Beach there, and all went wrong. Just maybe not sure if it was maybe a lockup there for Labano, or if maybe he caught that inside curb and kind of kicked him back over to the middle of the track. And there was a car already there, unfortunately, so dropped those guys down to the bottom of the grid, running in 14th and 15th. As we see, really wide there by Will Pierre, David Finch coming out on 1. And that's cost Pierre a little bit of time as well. So he's got to hustle to get that back up. And Finch not losing the group up to the front, maybe only a 10th or 2, as we see now Crab with a good run coming out of the keyhole, and is going to be looking to work his way around Spolman. I think he's kind of playing it safe right now, just letting the draft build up. He'll try and make this run down, and we'll see if Spolman is going to go defensive here, and he is not, and Crab just lifts a little early, doesn't want to push that just yet, not quite time to make those dives as we're only 11 minutes into this 30-minute race. So far the group up front standing pat. Finch still hanging off the edge there, and Byron Hayes now in the lead of that second pack, passing Matt Thompson, and I believe that was Byron that's Andrew Love. So it was Foweather that actually threaded the needle there from that last incident, and has worked his way up into P10, up now 6 positions, so having himself quite a great run.
You know, now that we know that, I'm going to actually go have a look here and see if we can't see him thread the needle here. Oh, you know what? He's blinking in and out, so he's not going to be a great... No, I think we're going to have to cut away from that one, unfortunately. But yes, that was the car that threaded the needle there. You know, just a little earlier, I went through T1 on board with Christopher Hamilton just to kind of show everybody here. Actually, we're going to get a chance again here, just how difficult T1 really is to eyeball. And that was the corner, I think, around here, Charles. That was one of the more difficult ones for me to get. And it is not a place that you want to try to pass someone, really. You're going to lose so much time right there. There really is only one line very filtered down onto that sort of pit exit curb that they've attempted to put out there to make things a little bit safer, I believe, on exit. And you really have to make sure you kind of eyeball that thing from way out. You have to kind of snipe it and make sure you hit it. And it's difficult every lap to do that. And then maybe this corner as well, being one of the more difficult ones, you really have to kind of, just because you have maybe so long to think about it.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. Is you're sitting there and you're waiting and waiting, and then in the last minute you're on the binders trying to get the car slowed down to make the corner. It doesn't always work that way, so you have to be very careful there as they work their way through madness here. And then we're headed back through 6 and 7, going back into Thunder Valley one more time, as this is just a fun little section of the track, and very difficult. Once again, you get light coming over the crest of that hill, and if you don't have your line right, it's very difficult to recover it because you don't really have the ability to get the car moving side to side there with a lot of the weight being pulled off the front tires. And makes it very, very difficult to fix yourself if you're not heading on the right line when you first go over that hill, and then you're in the grass, and then the next thing you know, you're off on the other side, or you're just basically missing the corner there. and you're just SOL, as they say in some parts of the world. Is you're out of luck, as I'll say.
Yep.
I'll clean that up for YouTube. So we're back to the front here. Still the top 5: Hamilton, Robertson, Spolman, Crab, Pierre.
Oh, close one.
And very close there, as Finch dropping a couple more tenths there, as it's just slowly losing that. I think him being out of the draft is not helping him. These cars are going to pick up a couple of tenths going down the straightaway. And unless you're just much better than the rest of the group, it's hard to make that time up in some of the tighter bits of this track.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're dead on there, Charles. Everything he could make up, well, they're squabbling a little bit. He's just going to lose on this back straightaway, and maybe even plus a little as well, because that straightaway is just so long. As long as they don't fight into this corner too hard, they're going to be able to just stay in front of him here, unless something happens. If I was David Finch, I'd definitely keep my eyes on the prize here, because very likely that there is going to be some blood on the water here before the end of the race. We have about 15 minutes left now, so just about at the halfway mark. It has broken up a little bit in the back here. Byron Hayes, Matt Thompson, Joshua Justice have broken up a little. Matt Thompson did kind of lose out on that leading battle here with that group of drivers, but still fighting for everything here in this group as well. And then we can kind of go back a little bit farther, and we're even more fractured up here now, starting to kind of lose touch with other drivers. Little battles fighting here. Colin E. Olson, I believe that's Thomas Pendergrass as well. Wayne Buttermore fighting Joaquim Effinger here. I believe that's Chuck Labano in front of him. So still stuff going on out there. You can see our track map up in the corner that is currently blocked by the Driver Trainer Motorsport logo. That gives us a good time to give them another plug there for sponsoring tonight's race. Thank you very much for obviously sponsoring. Can't do it without sponsors like you, and of course in the sim space like that as well. You know, if you need to get some driver training, I know we were talking about it actually on the run up to here. You know, what exact kind of things we use to kind of brush up on our leagues that we race every week, and Driver Trainer Motorsport definitely be the place to go and check that out. Miles Crabb now having a look up the inside of Seth Spolman in the number 12. Maybe going to get it done this time, Charles. He's got a good run.
Yeah, he does. And Spolman looked like he might have wanted to try and cut that off, but realized it was too late for that. So now Crabb going to go deep into that braking zone. Got the preferred line. Going to make that pass pretty easy out of turn 4. And now Labano still looking in his rearview mirror as they have Will Pierre back there. So he's making sure that it only loses one position there, gets that chopped off, and stays there in P4. And now move Crabb up to 3rd. And now he'll be setting his sights up to the front with Kyle Robertson and Hamilton just in front. So he'll be trying to close those tenths off and look for a way around to move up a little bit more. Has just been a pretty sedate race so far. There's been some opportunities, and they've taken the opportunities where they could. They haven't really pushed their luck up here at front, as we see that replay of Crabb making that move to the inside, making a very simple pass, and then Spolman on the switchback able to hang on to P4 over Pierre. And this group now completing another lap, 17 minutes into the race. And we still got a nice battle back here in the back between Matt Thompson, Josh Justice, and Byron Hayes, as Simon Foweather still a few seconds back. You see him there in the back of the shot, coming around the final corner to the start-finish line. And so I'll be keeping an eye out there as you see Matt Thompson running just a little wide there, coming out of one. No harm, no foul on that one. And now you see the 23 car moving to the inside. That's Pendergrass in front of Olson. Going to make that pass on the inside of turn 1. Gets that done. Very nice and tidy there, as it looks like he knows what he's doing there, Mr. Foweather, like he's done that before. As we still see side-by-side battles here between, this is Labano and Colin Olson. Now Labano trying to make the move around as well. And a little bit wide there by Olson as he gets this caught back up. Nice catch there by Olson to hang on to that coming out of Keyhole.
Oh, yeah, getting hung out to dry there, unfortunately, for Chuck Labano. Actually had that move pretty on after that. As we're going to get another really close one from, I believe that's the Driver Training Academy, Kyle Robertson there, making some moves in the 215, getting it done. Getting a little bit argy-bargy there for the 42 of Seth Spolman. Is a bit of a sandwich in between. I believe that's Will Pierre. And who is that? Will Pierre and
Miles
Seth
Crabb.
Spolman and Miles Crabb actually are going to be sandwiching him together there. That was a pretty close one. I'm surprised everybody got away with that.
Yeah, I am too. But here's the worst result of all that. Obviously, little contact between the cars, not that big a deal between Robertson and Crabb. Crabb obviously losing out to Spolman again, so he'll have to work to get that spot back. But this group has dropped 2.5 seconds from all that squabbling to our leader, Christopher Hamilton. So he's already checked out. So now he's up there by himself, and we're going to have to see if these drivers can work together for a couple of laps to make that time up. As we go, oh, there we go. There's the thing, as we saw Robertson there getting a little squirrely coming out of the carousel, coming into pit entry, and you could just see a little more contact there as they're still fighting side by side coming through madness in through 6. They finally get things settled out. I'm sorry, this is Thunder Valley. We're a couple of corners behind that. And they finally get things settled down for the time being. But that was all kind of caused by Robertson with a little half spin there coming around the corner and just checking those cars up. And that was at least a contributor to the loss of time to the leader.
Yeah, absolutely. Had a pretty big moment there, actually. Nice save, and then Miles Crabb with the reaction time there to get up the inside of him. Not quite be able to make it done. Kyle Robertson would big time close the door a couple times on the drivers there. I don't think anything really outside of the pale there, but definitely forceful closing of the door there, and he's going to continue leading this pack of cars for now. Very difficult section to try to make any sort of a move, as we're actually going to get Will Pierre up the inside of Miles Crabb there. He's going to give him a little tap. I guess that's, racing, I suppose, for the 131 there. He's going to be able to shrug that one off, but not really going to make up any time that way, are you, Charles?
No, not really. It's you're just costing both of yourselves a little bit of time there as you're fighting through a corner. Even when it's kind of a edge to edge there, you're still giving up a tenth or two. As you can see, a little bit more of a gap there between P3 and P4. As they are starting to close down Hamilton a little bit, but once again, they're going to have to keep together and stay in line. And maybe do a little bump drafting down there straightaway instead of trying to make moves. There's still 9 minutes left in the race, so there's still time to get back up there and challenge for an overall win as opposed to fighting over second place. So we're going to see what happens if they're going to able to do it. You see Spolman staying defensive there on the inside, coming down into turn 4. He's going to make Miles take the long way around. Miles not able to quite keep the momentum. No, not quite able to keep the momentum. So Spolman's going to remain in third. Miles is going to remain in fourth, and they're still hanging out behind Robertson, running in second. But Christopher Hamilton still 2.5 seconds ahead, and they're not quite just enough. It's starting to close down a little bit more, but not going to be enough with when you're only making up about a tenth or two per lap. There's not going to be enough time to get that back to the front. So what they're going to have to hope for is maybe a little bit of a small mistake by Hamilton, allowing them to get back into draft range and bring those cars back up into that battle. As we're on board now with Byron Hayes still leading this 3-car group. These guys are pretty much nose to tail. They're not really doing a whole lot there, as they are closing the gap down to David Finch running in 6th as he is continuing to drop off that lead group, 3.8 back. And now they're within 6 seconds of him. Once again, I don't know if they're catching him quite quick enough. It looks like 3/10 last lap between Hayes and Finch. So gaining 3/10, but that's not going to be enough either, I don't think.
Yeah, we're looking pretty set, at least at the moment here. We are getting into the wee hours, so I would imagine those steering racks and firewalls are going to get a little bit stiffer here in the next few minutes before the end. We do have some driving to be done, or some racing still to be done here, especially up front. Not so much maybe for the leader here. He's going to have to make some kind of a bad mistake here to actually get caught up by anybody. It looks like he's going pretty good, but the last spots on the podium at this point, Charles, could kind of be anybody's in this pack right here. We've seen a lot of back and forth. Kyle Robertson doing an amazingly good defensive job here so far of keeping this pack of cars off him. You could say the same thing about Seth Pullman to Miles Crabb. We know Miles Crabb has chops. He can get out there, he can get beside you and make a pass, and he's not able to find his way around Seth Pullman today around Mid-Ohio. Seems to be a bit of a specialist around here, Pullman does. We've seen him race many different places. He's always got speed, but seems to have a little extra around here.
It does. It seems like he's running really, really well tonight. Maybe a little bit, a couple of places higher than where you would normally see him. So yeah, definitely looks like he's in tune with the track. I think Will Pierre is back there just kind of watching. You know, he's kind of a half second back off of Crab, and he's just kind of watching to see what's going to happen and where he might be able to capitalize from some of that battling that we were seeing a lap or two ago. As they are still, once again, still closing the gap down, just not going to be enough at this rate. As you saw Spolman take very, very tight inside there on turn one. Looked like he might have been half car over the curb as they work their way through. And I think Crab is, once again, just looking. He feels like he's faster than the group in front. There's no place for him to go at this point in time as we see Pierre taking the wide line out of the keyhole and getting a good launch out. And so now it looks like both he and Crab have got a pretty good run going. They're starting to tighten that gap up front, up to Spolman. Spolman staying defensive over to the inside, not going to give Crab the ability to make that dive down again. And now Pierre looking as well. It doesn't see anything. It's, you know what, still not quite time yet. We still got about 5 minutes to go. So we're going to be about 3 laps to go when we get back to the start-finish line. As the gap now has opened up a little bit. Now Hamilton up to 2.6. So the Christopher Hamilton has really started putting the pressure on. Last lap 41.88. So really, really good pace. And just goes to show that these tires do bleed off after a while. We're 25 minutes in, and we lost about almost a full second of pace from their fastest lap of the race. So you can see that they're definitely pushing these cars very hard, and they're putting these tires to the absolute max here for this 30-minute race.
Yeah, definitely. No more so maybe than this group here that have definitely been pushing the boundaries of track, each other, and the rubber underneath them for sure. Miles Crab now actually going to lose out to Will Pierre. He's going to shake him a bit loose there after trying lap after lap. Maybe he can, it looks like he maybe just wants a stab at this now. He's like, let me have a try at Seth for a minute and see if I can get through there. Looks like they've lost a little bit of time though now. They don't really have a lot of time to make up that time either. So they're going to have to start working together, or they're just going to kind of be fighting for fifth place at the moment here. So we'll see how that one works out. But Kyle Robertson again holding out at front here, putting up a bit of a masterclass in defense around here, and just keeping those consistent laps up and consistent moves around here. And he's going to be able to maybe come away with a second place here, if anything. Or sorry, Seth Spoolman though in the 42 may have something to say about that before the end of this one. Only about 4 minutes left. Christopher Hamilton, though, way out front here. He's going to have to make some kind of a pretty drastic mistake all by himself here for him to lose this one. Definitely a bit of a masterclass today for sure. Really consistent laps.
Yeah, absolutely. Really consistent laps. I think Will Pierre figured out something there as we saw him make that same move a couple of times. Maybe Miles Crab just running a little bit wide up there through the carousel. And just not hanging on to that tight line that Pierre was running really, really well. Couldn't make it work the first time, made it work the second time. Gave a little bit of a hip check there to Crab, got him a little loose, and was able to put the move under and get him cleared on that switch back there on the final corner. As I've still got a battle here. This battle still continuing very tight here between Hayes, Justice, and Thompson. As these cars are they're battling for 7th place, but hey, you know what? That's the battle they got in front of them, and that's the battle they're decided they're going to take. And so we'll see if there's going to be anything going on here, if maybe the cars behind have figured out something, maybe a way around, as we're down to under 3 minutes left in the race. So it's going to be these cars through. We're going to be white flag next time by. So 3 second gap there between Hamilton and Robertson. Spolman's still sitting there in 3rd. Pierre still in 4th, and Miles Crab running in 5th, and all over the back bumper of Will Pierre there as he tried to get a good run coming out. So we'll see if anybody's got the run is going to try and make a move here, as it looks like that Robertson's got a pretty nice gap. I don't think that Spolman is going to be able to get to him and make a late lunge here coming down into 4. So the tightest gap there looks to be between Spolman and Pierre. But I don't think any of them are close enough to make the attempt here. Next lap may be a little bit different as we work our way through madness here, and the gap continues to increase a little bit there for Hamilton, as these cars are going to settle amongst themselves for 2nd place, it appears. And then we've got Finch sitting there in 6th, Hayes, Justice, Thompson in that 3-car battle for 7th. And then a little bit further back, Simon Foweather Still nice run up 6 positions, running solo in 10th. Pendergrass all the way up back to 11th. Love, Lobato, Olson, Buttermore, Effinger, and Ben Foltz is your final position runner already out of the race. And here we go with Hamilton, white flag this time, and you see Barney with the flag in his hand giving us a big wave. And here we go, 1 lap to go.
Yeah, 1 more lap to get it done here. See if Kyle Robertson can hold this pack of cars off. Did just a good enough job there on the last straightaway. Everybody just kind of gapped enough there that they were not able to attack one another. It's looking like it might set up that way again, but we'll see how that one goes. We'll try to follow this one. And then, of course, just behind here as well, we have Joshua Justice Byron, and as well as Matt Thompson here is a little bit farther off that fray now. But we will keep an eye on that one as well. Back up here with Kyle Robertson. It looks like we've had an incident between the Appalachian Autobahn car and Will Pierre. So this is going to be an easy march now for Kyle Robertson to take that 2nd place. Miles Crabb will inherit 3rd place there. And we're going to have to go back and see what happened here real quick before this race ends.
Yeah, here we go through the keyhole and just a bump. So it's a bump and a bump. And that was enough to send Spolman around as the chain reaction occurred there. And really not much anything that anybody could have done differently there, except maybe just not making contact. So unfortunate for those guys as the contact happened between Spolman and Pierre, and then Miles Crabb got into it as well, not able to get checked up in time. And you saw this spin by Spolman and spun from Pierre. Crabb able to get through, and it looks like Hamilton is going to coast to a victory here as he's making his final couple of corners, and he's going to bring around the final corner here. And Christopher Hamilton is going to be your race winner tonight in the Spec Miatas, followed very soon behind by Robertson and Miles Crabb. Half-second gap between those 2 cars. David Finch is going to come in 4th. So able to pick up a couple of positions on the incident behind. Will Pierre will come in and finish off your P5. Byron Hayes will finish 6th. Josh Justice 7th. Matt Thompson finished 8th. And looks like that Seth Spolman has towed back to the pits, unable to continue. Give Simon Foweather 9th. Thomas Pendergrass will round out your top 10, followed quickly by Andrew Justice and Chuck Lobato racing back there for themselves back in 11th and 12th. And we got a few more seconds to wait to get the final couple of cars, as Spolman unfortunately had to call the tow truck. And there we see Olson coming across, Wayne Buttermore just behind. And then our final finisher is going to be Joaquin Effinger tonight. It's going to round out our top 15. Spolman will finish 16th. Benjamin Foltz will finish 17th as Effinger comes around the final few corners here and up the hill, heading down into the carousel. Couple more corners to go here, and we'll have him in the pits, or in the with the checkered flag as well, and we can get a quick review here of our finishing results. And Josh, pretty good race on our hands tonight. Had a little bit of drama there at the end, as we normally see when we're in packed cars like these Spec Miatas.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunate little incident there at the end. A little bit premature, perhaps. By a couple of the drivers there. We were, just about to have a big back straightaway, and you're trying to get those margins as close as you can right at that moment right there, and I think they just sort of accordioned a little bit. Very easy to do. Nobody doing anything malicious or anything there, and I'm sure they're a little bummed out that they didn't really get to duke it out there at the end. But Christopher Hamilton going to walk away with this one. Pretty dominant win, I'd say, today. He's going to bring it nice and smoothly and cleanly back to the pit, something we don't see very often here on slow motion broadcasting. Usually there are parts flying everywhere and people ballparking, but Christopher Hamilton's going to show us how it's done here and bring it into the pit lane nice and smooth. Just behind him, Kyle Robertson from the Driver Trainer Motorsport Academy here, who has sponsored tonight's race. So huge thanks to Kyle Robertson, and an awesome defense that he put up tonight as well on that as well. Actually, Byron Hayes putting up a really good defense from Joshua Justice, able to hold off that race as well. Another Driver Trainer Motorsport driver here as well. So yeah, I'd say we had a pretty good one here tonight, Charles. I really like this place. It always seems to race really well. I just like driving around here for fun sometimes. So I mean, if you can race around here, it's a good night.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's go ahead and bring up our race results, and we do have a couple of interviews waiting, so we'll bring them in here in short order as we give you the final results here. Christopher Hamilton, your race winner tonight, 3.3 second gap over Kyle Robertson, as you said, Drive Trainer Motorsport sponsoring tonight's race. Miles Crabb finishing in third. David Finch in fourth. Will Pierre finishes fifth. Sixth is Byron Hayes. Josh Justice finishes in seventh. Matt Thompson finishing at eighth. Simon Foweather finishing in ninth. And Thomas Pendergrass rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, and then after that, we have Andrew Love in 11th place. In 12th, we have Chuck Labano. Then Colin E. Olson in 13th. Wayne Buttermore will bring it home in 14th. Joaquin Meffinger in 15th. 16th is Seth Spoolman with that unfortunate incident right at the end there. And then Ben Folds 5 is 16 laps down, unfortunately, with that black flag early in tonight's race. And that'll round out our field here. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have a couple drivers in the waiting room here. Would you like to grab one of them and have a chat there, Charles?
Yeah, let's bring in Kyle Robertson for a chat, our second place finisher tonight, and we'll track him down. Kyle, congratulations on the second place tonight. Once again, thank you very much to Drive Trainer Motorsport for sponsoring tonight's event. I know this wraps up the Spec Miata season, and quite a good track. I was commenting during the race that got to watch a little bit of the Super Tour that was there last weekend in real life, and quite fun to watch those Miatas running around, and you guys put on quite the show tonight as well.
Yeah, that was a wild race, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I prefer the other configuration of this track without that chicane there.
Yep.
yeah, prefer that a lot more. But no, this was a fun race. As you can see, it got pretty hectic up front. I was trying my best to keep up with Christopher, and I double downshifted and thought I almost blew the engine. So I was like, oh man, let's try and get back here. And he was gone. At that point, I was just praying I held on to second.
Well, that it does explain that little half spin that you had there. So a little double downshift and probably a little bit of diff lock there. Kind of throw the rear end around, and but you did a good job to hang on to it. Obviously, it was enough to let him kind of sneak away from y'all. But you guys, the four of you, put on quite a great show. Pretty much nose to tail for the vast majority of the race, and then just at the end, just a small mistake was enough to take a couple of the guys out.
Yeah. When I saw that mistake towards it, I breathed a sigh of relief. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was a little worried on that last lap. Like, man, I gotta try to hold these guys off one more time. Oh man, but yeah, they really kept me honest there. Miles, Will, and Seth. It was a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would normally ask, about the next race, but there's not a next race. So this is the end, at least for the Spec Miatas. We have a few more groups left to run for the remainder of the season. But at this point, Kyle, we'll just congratulate you on your P2, and we'll let you have the floor, and you can give any thanks, shout outs, and talk about Drive Trainer Motorsport.
Yeah, got to give shout out to Stevie Ray for having this league. It's amazing. All the SCCA members that are in this league, it's a lot of fun. We at Drive Trainer Sport, we really love and appreciate this league and want to support it, which is why we're sponsoring this portion of the schedule, I guess you could say.
Yep.
I also want to thank you guys because you have amazing broadcasts every time you do it. It's always fun to watch back. I really appreciate you. And then Drive Trainer Motorsport, my team. I think it was just Byron and I tonight, but we're a team who are a program who do when sim gets real, as we like to call it, where we try and get sim racers into real life cars and try and help everybody's, I guess we could say, dreams come true. Because we do this for fun, but there's a lot of people out there who want to be able to see what it's like to feel the G's and the vibrations of being in a real life car. So we try and bridge that gap by we have our two Miatas that we run, a 97 and a 91 Miata. So we run them all over, I guess you could say, the southeast, primarily Florida and Georgia. But if anybody is interested in coming out and trying to get on track real life, you can contact Drivetrain Motorsport on Instagram or Facebook, and we will definitely respond promptly because, like I said, this is our passion. We love getting everybody into the car as much as, just trying to, help train and, just trying to do well, pay it forward, I guess is probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's about it. And like I said, appreciate you guys so much for this season. Really looking
Awesome.
forward.
Thanks, man.
To the next one. And yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. And that just actually does lead me into a question. So, the Hoosier Super Tour making their first visit to Barber Motorsports Park here at the end of August. Are we going to see some drive trainer cars there as well?
That actually is a very good question because I was talking with the team owner Andre today actually, and we're based out of Orlando, Florida, but we are looking to expand the tracks that we do in the Southeast. Where we usually do Daytona and Sebring, and now we're beginning to branch out to Roebling, Barber, Road Atlanta Motorsport Park, Carolina Motorsport Park. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm trying to convince him to go to VIR sometime eventually.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to try and show up for Barber in August. We have to have that conversation and see. But
yeah, absolutely.
We will be seeing some green and black cars out there soon.
Well, I'm hoping you will. I will be there because obviously that's my home track, and so I will absolutely be out there for the festivities. And so hopefully we'll see some drive trainer cars out there, and we can hook up and we'll have a good handshake and talk about racing.
Yes, sir. That sounds great. Charles and Joshua, thank you guys so much again for this. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure, man.
Thank you very much, Kyle. And we'll see you the next time around. So have a good one.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yes, sir. Take care.
That was Kyle Robertson, our second place finisher tonight. And Josh, we have one more. We got Miles Crabb up in the waiting room.
Yeah, we'll grab Miles Crabb here, our, I believe, second place finisher from tonight. If I can grab him here, my thing is not working. There we go. I got him.
Yeah.
There we are. Third place driver, Miles Crabb tonight. Awesome drive, Miles. That was not an easy one out there at all, was it? There was a lot of argy-bargy there near the end of the race. And, man, these cars just race so good around here. It looked like a lot of fun out there tonight.
I wish it had like 10% more draft. Yeah, why couldn't somebody sponsor the Mustang race where it won by 10 seconds? Like,
we did watch that. We were watching.
It was a good race. It's unfortunately one of those things that I lost it in turn one. I was in an interview with SVG where he's like the one lie he's ever heard in racing is you can't win it in turn one. You can win it in turn one if you get stuck in the back. I'm just not that great with ABS cars for some reason on the brakes, and everybody else who drives them so much better, and I couldn't outbrake Seth or Will or anybody, and just never had forward momentum. If I could have caught Kyle and Chris, it would have been a fight, but I just couldn't get past people to get forward. And then on the last lap, I rolled speed. It seemed like Seth scrubbed a lot, was turning across Will, was fine as the last lap, and we just pinballed. And then I blinked halfway through the race because I think it's about to rain here in Birmingham, and I disappeared for them, and me and Kyle ran into each other, then Seth. I don't know if I was on Seth's screen or what, and just trying not to cause any incidents while nobody can see me.
Yeah, that's always, it's nerve-wracking for those around you, and it's maybe even more nerve-wracking sometimes for the driver it's happening to, because you just kind of want to not mess anything up at that moment. But that draft, we could definitely see it. It just kind of wasn't quite enough every lap. It looked like the drivers, you guys were sort of in a line and just enough not to be able to really make a solid attack into that corner. And then, of course, trying to get those close margins to get that good pull out of the corner ended up accordioning just a little bit there and ended it up. But we really love racing around here. One of my favorite tracks to drive around. This is the last track and last round of the Group 2s. So before we let you go here, Miles, maybe we can let you say thanks to who you'd like to, maybe some season ender thoughts, and we'll let you go.
Yeah, thank y'all for broadcasting. Hi, Jessica. Hi, Mom. They were the only ones I sent the link to, so only one of my friends watching. yeah, thanks to Stevie for putting this on, even though he's retired. He's still not getting to come out to play. It's so annoying. And yeah, thanks to everybody. Like, this has historically been a very close and fair league that follows like actual racing rules, which is I started doing some public events here recently and reminded myself why I don't do public events anymore. But it was a ton of fun. I'm finally driving a Miata in real life, so this thing has way more grip than a Champ Car Miata, and I'm not dying of heat stroke currently after driving it for 30 minutes like I was this past weekend.
A little more comfy, yeah. You can control the heat in the room, or at least a little bit anyway. Some sim rooms I've been in were pretty rough, but I'm certainly not as rough as a real race car. Pretty cool to hear that, though. So the grip level's much different in the real machine.
Well, we were also running on Hankook RS4s, which were like iron, but also grip about the same.
Gotcha.
Also, thank you to Kyle for sponsoring for Drive Trainer Motorsports. I'm probably going to mess up that if I say it again. But yeah, it's NB and NC is very different. This thing actually carries about 20 more miles an hour because it doesn't have a big old wing on the back for no apparent reason. But yeah, no, it's great when like my aggression level in sim equals the actual real race and nobody else is trying nearly as hard as I am at the start of like a lucky dog race.
Oh, it sounds like my life almost every race as well. But thanks a lot, Charles. Great interview. Great to have you out there. Good third place tonight. Great watching you out there every time we do see you in whatever machinery it is. You're always racing clean and fast and exciting. So thanks a whole bunch. Thank you for the thank yous, or for the nice words as well. And we'll catch you in the next one, man. Have a good one.
Yep, I'll be there for the Formula cars.
Awesome. We'll see you then.
Later.
Right on. And that was Miles Crab, third place on our round 6 final round of the SMs tonight, Charles. And I'd have to say that was a pretty successful one. I always really like racing around here. It's been a while since I've unfortunately had a chance to race around here, and it doesn't come up very often, but always like it. Always like it when we get a chance to stop by Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, absolutely. Great track, great venue, great racing from our crew tonight. They just did a fantastic job. Accidents will happen. That is part of racing, and but very few and far between tonight. Some really good side-by-side battles, and I hate that this is the last one, but we do want to thank again Drive Trainer Motorsport for the sponsorship. Hopefully we can get some more sponsors from some of our other leagues. That would be fantastic, because we love doing the broadcasts, and I know the drivers love getting to go back and watch themselves racing and see what we're talking about and things like that. So if you're interested, you can contact Stevie Ray, and I'm sure he will make you a great deal on sponsoring some races. So yeah, it's sad to see the end of this, but I know there's a few more out there for the drivers. Hopefully we'll pick up some sponsorships here. I know some big doings going on. Pretty sure, if I remember correctly, I think Stevie Ray is probably on the race that we've got currently going on our other broadcast, the SRG F3s. I believe Stevie has made the trek out to East San Jose, California, and is actually in the studio actually racing with the guys tonight. So obviously it's great to see the people who we so passionately talk about here with them, differently collaborating with each other to come up with just better ways of doing things and making things better for everybody. So great to see, and I believe that's going to lead us into what we've got coming up next here on Slow Motion Broadcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have a bunch of stuff coming up next. Of course, May 30th, we have our Sergeant Adam W. Estep Memorial Scholarship. That'll be in Mustang GT3s. It is a charity race. You can use these QR codes that you see underneath to donate, watch, and to join. There's also information in the links to either donate, sponsor a race, or join any races as well in the description of this video that you can check out. We did actually make a little bit of a slideshow here of some of the paint jobs that are going to be seen in that race, and we'll be running a competition for best paint job as well. You can see some of these absolutely beautiful paint jobs here, Charles. I'm really looking forward to doing this one. for a great cause. Some beautiful cars out there on a great track. Lots of cross-pollination between all our different leagues here. You've got WW drivers, SRG drivers, AMS drivers, SRG drivers. Everybody's in there. XSLR drivers. It's going to be a pretty cool one. SMB broadcasters, including yours, Charles Boshell here in the booth with me, is going to be out there. Also has a beautiful paint job on his car, so that's going to be a good one. But that doesn't finish it off either. We also have weekly stuff too. Formula V's at VIR North course coming up here on Saturday, May 23rd at 3:30. Then the Spec Racer Fords at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I think I'm actually going to be on the call with that one with you, Charles. I'm filling in for Ron, so that'll be a little different one for me. I'm usually down there in the pit racing in the mud, or not in the mud, in along with the Spec Racer Ford drivers, but I'll be up in the booth for that one. And then we're going to Tsukuba F4s on Tuesday, and then Adelaide in the F3s. Really, really looking forward to see the F3s rip around Adelaide. The F4 race was great. And then, of course, May 30th, we're back to our Sergeant Adam W. Estep Memorial Scholarship race, and then our schedule will continue after that. There will be some more Spec Ford races. Keep tuned on our upcoming races, because there will be a lot of stuff added here. We do have some new leagues and some new series coming over the summer and into the break. It's going to be pretty awesome here, Charles. But I think for myself and for Charles Boshell here on Slow Motion Broadcasting and the Ray Esports Club Racing Group 2 Round 6 at Mid-Ohio, that's pretty much going to be the end for us. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Driver Trainer Motorsports, and we'll see you on the next one.